Welcome back to Unhinged Addiction. I am your host, Eric Zink, and today I'm going to be talking about the challenges of being sober around people that are drunk. I mean, this is a topic that I've wanted to talk about for a while, and I haven't. This is a huge struggle I think a lot of us really run into, and we don't talk about it enough, is when you get sober, man, being around people who get to that next level that you're never going to reach, and what it's like and how you handle it. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here before, glad to have you back. If you haven't hit the like and follow button, hit the like and follow button. I go by Eric B. Zink on YouTube and on Facebook. It's the Mr. Impulsive on TikTok and on Instagram. Share a lot about addiction and mental health and just share from personal experience. This is my podcast, Unhinged Addiction. And, getting sober for me, a lot of it was finding your identity again. But also, you had to learn a lot of new stuff. And I think we're really at a different phase in life when we get sober. And this is something we don't really talk enough about. If you're looking to get sober, download Sunflower Sober. I highly recommend it. It's an app on iOS and Google Play. 24-hour support with the AI sponsor, Sam. You have a community there. There's doctors and therapists. There's journaling. I mean, there's everything you need to get sober and stay sober. But when I got sober, I didn't know who I was. I was Eric, an alcoholic. I was Eric, a cocaine addict. And I didn't know what I did for fun or what I liked to do for fun or hobbies or any of this, or what I even enjoyed or what I enjoyed watching or games or video games, any of this stuff. So I had to spend a lot of time to really understand and find out who I am. And I had a lot of goals. I would try a lot of things. I found out I really liked walking my dog. That was the easiest and first thing I actually found. I liked walking my dog and listening to music. And then I found, got back into working out, really enjoyed working out. Then I ended up just trying a variety of different things. I did get kind of sucked into social media. I think that's an addiction all of its own. Even though you're not drinking something or snorting something with it, you're feeding your brain dopamine. I didn't quit cigarettes at this time yet when I first got sober, but I had to start really realizing hey, I am sober and this is important to me. I really, especially after my dad killed himself, buckled into making sobriety a cornerstone of my life. So now that I made it a cornerstone of my life, I had a lot of realizations that were pretty harsh that I wasn't prepared for. And one of the harsh realizations was I was married to Amber, and I got married. I met Amber when she was 23. I was 34. I was a horrible human being, drunk, just was wanting a fun time. She was a fun time. Relationship-wise, though, we weren't on the same plane and on the same path, and it's not her fault. And it's not really my fault, essentially. But when I got sober, I think it was a little bit of my fault for not addressing some of the challenges that I should. I really do own that. But she enjoyed smoking weed. That was her thing. She liked smoking weed. I never looked at weed the same as cocaine or alcohol because weed doesn't really make people sometimes do those kind of decisions. And this is just, again, I share from my own personal experience. I don't glamorize anything, but I'm going to say this. Anytime I ever smoked weed, my anxiety went through the roof. I had to go to sleep. I didn't want to leave the house. I had munchies. That was it. It didn't amp me up to where I want to go party or I want to go on a bender or I need to drink more or let's go out and let's go find out what's going on or let's go hook up with some women. It didn't do any of that to me. So I never looked at weed as really that same addiction, but man, it can make somebody gone. I didn't really realize how much that really affected me until I am getting sober, and my wife at the time, I'm coming home and she is just wasted. I was a manager at Family RV and I worked in Ontario. I lived in Huntington Beach, or I lived in La Palma at the time, excuse me. I'm working in Ontario, California. Anybody who knows that area, it's about an hour drive to work, an hour drive back. So we closed down, normal 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock, and I'm getting home at 7, 8 o'clock at night. So when I would get home, she'd been home since 5:30. She worked at Dennis Dillon. She was a service warranty clerk. So she'd been home for a little bit before me, and I noticed a pattern. At first, I was finding people and I would buy her weed. I had a lot of guilt in me because I put her through a lot. I know a lot of the stuff I did to her. She didn't even know a lot of the stuff I did to her at that time. So I had a lot of guilt. So I would bring her back 2 ounces of weed and all this stuff just to try and make amends in my own weird way. But I started really realizing that I would get home from work and she would be stoned watching Friends, Seinfeld, or Big Bang Theory every night. It didn't change. And this was something I started to slowly struggle with. At first, it wasn't a big deal. At first, this wasn't a big thing to me. I didn't mind it too much. But man, when that time change hit, it started becoming kind of a big deal to me because I would get home, it would still be light out. I'd go outside, have some cigarettes, feed my fish. Or actually, I didn't have a fish pond at that time. I didn't have a koi pond yet. I would get home and I would just go outside and smoke some cigarettes and like scroll social media or whatever. And this is when I had started doing actually social media. And she would just be stoned. And that part kind of sucked. Like I remember she wanted me to always sit next to her on the couch. So I would sit next to her, she would just get baked. And I'm talking like bowl after bowl after bowl. I'm like, this isn't fun. Like, I'm not smoking weed. I'm not drinking. I'm not getting high. And here, I'm watching somebody get baked. Just zoned out watching TV. And then if I would like want to go do something, she never wanted to do anything. She just wanted to do that. And it got fucking boring. I mean, I'm going to call it what it was. It was boring as hell. And this wasn't what I envisioned my life being. And this was something really hard because I was trying to kill myself every single day with my drugs. Now that you pull yourself out of this and you're trying to find life, you have almost this different view of life of like you want a fulfilling life all of a sudden and you're at a different place in life. I've done that. I've done drugs. I've done women. I've done all this stuff. I have no problem looking back at my 20s and stuff. Like I lived life. I know what it was like to go to a lot of parties, one night stand. You say it, I've done it. And so all of a sudden having a life where it's like, I kind of want to go like live now. Like for once I'm sober and I'm trying to find out who I am and I need to go do stuff. Like I want to go take a walk or I want to go on a hike or I want to go try something new. Maybe go try a new restaurant or try something, getting out of the house. Like I couldn't be at home. It was really boring for me. And it's not even that I'm not a homebody. I am a homebody. But I still, just because I'm a homebody doesn't mean that I don't love going out and doing things. And I wanted to remember them. Like I didn't want them to have to involve drugs. I didn't want to involve drinking with her. It always involved her getting stoned. And it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun conversations to have. It was boring conversations. It was just like such a Groundhog's Day. And when it started getting dark out and coming home, especially after that, like I really struggled with it a lot. You never wanting to go do something. And I know a lot of people out there, like when you're getting sober, it's hard. It's hard if your other partner's using. And it wasn't like she was drinking. It wasn't like she was doing cocaine. So she's not doing my drugs of choice. But she's still getting stoned. And she's still altering her brain and not wanting to do stuff. And it was a lot easier for me to tolerate when I drank and when I did drugs. Because her being stoned that hardcore allowed me to get more alcohol. It allowed me to do drugs behind her back. It allowed me to do a lot of stuff when she was that stoned. So I didn't mind. It was actually very enabling to me as an addict. But now that I'm sober and I don't need that enabling. I don't need that. It was really boring. And I remember even, just kind of bringing it up and just being reminded that I knew what I was getting into and that, she smoked weed. Not really being validated at all in that aspect. And again, it's not like if that's her thing, that's her thing. I had to realize like, hey, maybe this is something that I want something else in life. And maybe we talk about what do we go from here? But instead I had a lot of guilt on my shoulders. I felt like I really owed it to her, that I shouldn't leave because she didn't leave me when I was an addict. She didn't leave me for a lot of the shitty things I did. So like, I just kind of owed her a good life was the way I looked at it, unfortunately, which I think is actually really toxic. Because you're going to have a lot of resentment. You're going to be angry doing it. I mean, it led me to cheating. I remember like I was really solid like when I got sober of like I'm not going to cheat on her. Like I'm digging back into my marriage, and it only went so far until eventually less than a year after I got sober, I ended up cheating on her with a girl. And like, cause I just needed more in life. And I remember just always looking for more in life, like hating my relationship, being in it, but not leaving it and not taking the risk. I was really scared to leave my relationship. I had a lot of fear, and it was such a weird time for me because I hated being around somebody that smoked a lot of weed. I hated not doing anything and not living life and enjoying life or having goals or having dreams or trying to figure out a future. Like, when I got sober, I was telling myself mentally, like, okay, I'm meant for more than this. Like, I don't want to be a sales manager my entire life. Like, I want to own a business. I want to do more. There is more to life than this. I finally woke up. I wasn't getting high off of the sales anymore or running a dealership anymore because it was always the same. It was always the same type of owners. It was always the same type of dealerships. It was always the same. And I was like, man, I'm meant for more in life than this. But who you surround your people with becomes a prison in a sense. That, yeah, I'm focusing a lot on my sobriety. I'm focusing a lot on getting sober and staying sober. But I'm also in a situation where, like, I'm never going to reach the level that this person's at. She would get stoned. She would be so stoned that she'd just want to go to sleep. Our sex life was non-existent. And it's like, it's boring. I'd want to go take a walk or whatever at night even, and she wouldn't want to take a walk. Or if she wanted to take a walk, I had to do it really early as soon as I got home before she got super stoned. I took care of dinner. I took care of cooking, and I took care of everything I could. I was a really big enabler just because, again, I felt like I owed it to her. I felt like I deserved this lot in life kind of because of what I had put her through and being an addict myself, of what I'd done. So I was okay with just kind of being this weird like punching bag, but it was a struggle for me. It was a struggle because I could never reach that point. And there'd be times I'd get home and her eyes would be so bloodshot red. And I was just like, damn it, man. Like, this is going to suck tonight because you're not going to want to talk about anything. You don't want to do anything. And we're just going to sit here. And it's really boring. And I think that makes it hard to not relapse for a lot of people. For me, my sobriety became so much my identity that it was a lot of anger. I wasn't fighting with relapse. I was fighting with a lot of anger though, because I was like, I want more than this. I deserve more than this. Like, I'm not killing myself anymore. I'm going to create this new life, but I need more than this out of life. And my partner's not giving it to me. But yet didn't have really the strength to leave a relationship. I'm still freshly sober. I should have took, cheating on her sober as, hey, maybe something really is wrong. Like, I need to be a man and end this, but I wasn't a man. I didn't end it. It was like pushing through. So I went through a lot of where I just realized being around people who used, it was fine for a little bit. Like, I don't mind going to like parties. I don't mind going to events and people are drunk and people act stupid and stuff. And yes, and that's every now and then. That's fine. But man, when you really like start being around people that's how they kind of live their life, it wears on you because you feel so outcast. You feel so different than them. You don't relate to them. When it's talking about like every weekend getting trashed or drinking or just we're going to get wasted and everybody's constantly getting wasted. It's just, it wears on you. And it's funny for me. It doesn't wear on me as in, oh, I'm going to use. It wears on me as in like, I guess you're not my people and what's wrong with me? Like, why can't I find people? Why is it so hard to find people that don't want to drink, that want to build a business, that want to have business ideas, that want to go play pickleball, that want to go, play games? And there's so much you can do sober. I've been sober since 7/25/17. I've learned there is a lot of things you can do sober. And it's amazing how many people still, even in their 40s, look at like drinking as part of what they have to do and part of their identity and part of having fun. And it's like, how do you have fun when you don't remember? Like, I know what it was like. I remember bits and pieces of my whole addiction. I remember bits and pieces of all the stuff I did. And there are some nights like I don't fully remember, but if someone's like, hey, I remember a lot for being as messed up as I was. There's a lot of memories there. But it's like I'm not in that place. I have no desire to do that. And so when it's like people's priority or something that they're really looking forward to, I'm like, I just can't get on board with that. And it's hard because then you kind of get depressed and you kind of get sad because it's like, okay, maybe you are kind of cool. Like, I know a lot of people that are actually really freaking cool people sober, but yet they really have a whole part of their life that they drink. And it's like, man, you're just missing out on life. And it's not my place to be like a Jehovah's Witness of, well, have you found sobriety yet? And do you think you're an alcoholic? And you should quit drinking. It's like, no, it's like, it's not my place to do that. And so it's finding that balance because it'll wear on you, man. And it wears on me in the way of like depression and what's wrong with me. And like, maybe I need to just go off and go do my own thing because it's like, I'm not going to get to that point. I can't be there in that point. And I don't enjoy it. like it's funny every now and then. I don't mind being sober and making sure that everybody has a good time and making sure that everybody's safe. Like I like that part. Like I don't mind when we're out and about. But as soon as we're like being rude to people that are around us or being a lot to people that are around us that they're not asking for this, that I really kind of struggle with because it's not right. We're just making asses out of ourselves, but whatever. Okay, it's going to be over soon. But man, when it gets more and more than that, it's just hard. And like I said, it's not the fact that I'm worried that I'm going to drink. It's not the fact that I'm worried I'm going to use. I have no fear of that. Like I really I don't worry about that. But it's more of that I look at people differently. And I think I kind of judge them in my own way of like, hey, like I wish you saw that there's more to you and more to life than what you're getting out of it right now. And it's not my place to tell you that. But like you're a really cool person, but when you drink, you're not. And you revert to like a child. And that part kind of sucks, man, because you can't tell people that. And you kind of go through it. And it's like you come off as kind of a prude. And you're not a prude. It's just that you're in a different part of life. And I do realize that. The one thing I'm realizing about being in my 40s now, I got sober at 36. But now being in my 40s, being with my wife is not sober. My wife doesn't drink every night, but my wife isn't an alcoholic like I was. Like she'll have a night every now and then, like where she'll drink a glass of wine, and I'm like, I don't know how you just have one. And there's some nights we'll go out and she'll have 5 or 6 White Claws or 7 White Claws, whatever. She'll get drunk. It is what it is. Like okay, cool. Like let off some steam every now and then. Like I'm whatever. But it's also funny because we've met some people and some friends that they don't drink, and it's like I thrive on being around people like that. Like it's thriving for my brain. I'm like, oh, we're talking business ideas, and it's like motivating. And then you have we will hang out with other friends and stuff, and it's constantly drinking, and I watch my wife drink, and even with her it's fine. I get to watch over her. She gets to go have a good time. But then I watch it all get so out of kind of control that I'm like, it really gives me kind of the ick in the sense of like, I'm not a prude, but like we're being a lot right now. Like if we weren't being rude to others around us and we weren't disturbing others around us, I think I'd be fine because you're very aware of what's going on around you. And so when you're aware of what's going on around you and others around you that aren't with your group per se, and you see that you're affecting their time out, I don't think that's right. I really do struggle with that. Just because you're tying one on doesn't mean that everybody else is at that same level. And when it all just is like, hey, we're going to get thrashed, and it's like everyone's looking forward to getting just ruined and drunk, and I'm just like, man, don't you guys want to do something else? And you just kind of go along for the ride, which sucks because it's like, what's wrong with me? Well, I'm an alcoholic. That's what's wrong with me. But also, I'm not at that point in my life. And I think that's the thing is it's hard for us to realize is that everyone's at different points. Alcoholics and addicts, I think we are so at a different point in life when we actually get sober and lock into our sobriety. Because it's like life isn't a party. Like we know what it was like to be dying. And now we have a chance to live. So we're going to make the most out of this life. And others have never experienced that. I don't think others have experienced what it's like to be in the pits of hell, depressed. Like, I don't own a gun because I would have blown my brains out, man. That's how depressed of an addict I was. That's how much struggle with addiction that I was at, that I didn't want to live, but I didn't want to die. And to be granted a second chance at life and to think with a clear head and to see how your abilities in life truly are and what you can do. It's like, I have these goals. Like I want to be, in my 50s sitting on the beach in the Caribbean when daylight savings hits so it's warm and I can watch the fucking turtles, and go scuba diving and then go to a really nice restaurant and then just chill outside and just listen to the birds, like that's the life I want. And I want to not worry about money and I want to have successful businesses. Like this is what I want. And like alcohol and partying all these times and all this, all it does is like hold me back from that. And it's like, I want to lock the fuck in and just go at it, dude, for 4 or 5 years straight. And it's, I'm not saying that or not, but it's like, you're around people that just don't kind of get that. And they're like, well, why don't you, it's hard because it's like, it's hard to maintain and keep friendships when you're sober because After 3 or 4 times getting invited to go out and just get wrecked and you're turning them people down, they're not going to invite you anymore. But it's like, it's not what I want to do. And like a lot of people in their 40s, your kids are growing up, you're having free time again. Maybe you had your kids in your 20s. Maybe you had a kid at 20. And now all of a sudden you're in your 40s. So that means your kid is like, 20 years old, moving out of the house, out of the house and in college or whatever. Or your kid, you've been in a relationship and you had a kid at 23 or whatever, or you have younger kids and 13 and 14, but they're not little kids anymore. And you kind of feel like you missed out on like that party phase, so you have to like live it up. So, I get that. And I never had kids, so I never had to grow up. I had a party phase from 20 to 36. I mean, I had a party phase. I experienced all that stuff, and I experienced too much of it that I don't get any kind of joy from any of it. But I know that others need to live that, and it's not my place. Like we're all at different aspects and points in life. And so, the other thing is when it comes to like even your trauma and stuff that you've healed through or fighting through or, working through, when you're not running from that as much as you once were. And so you're able to enjoy life more. There's so much, and it's a struggle. Like it's a struggle to find your own. And that's why I think like people will bitch about AA and NA and they'll complain about it, of it's culty and it's, religion and all that. But it like as a sober person, like you have to find your people. And finding your people isn't easy. And finding your people may result in divorce. Finding your people may result in being single. Just because the person you were with, it doesn't mean that they weren't always your people, but it also doesn't mean that they're always going to be your people. One of the healthiest things I ever did was getting divorced when I got sober. I tried to make it work in my own, like I tried to make it work in the best that I knew how to. Like we should have went to therapy. There's a lot of other stuff that we should have did if we really wanted to make it work that we didn't do. So, but I mean, in my own way, like I stayed and I was trying and I failed at it because I couldn't get bought into making this relationship work. And I'm glad that I didn't, because like I love where I'm at now. But also, I'm not going to lie, like, I've experienced as an adult, now sober, I've experienced a handful of times where it's like, I've been in these environments or I've been around these people that, drinking is a huge part of their life and a huge part of how they have fun. And it's like, fuck, dude, like, you're kind of cool and I want to have friends. But it's like, I guess I don't get to really be friends with you because I'm not, like, I have to protect my mentality. I have to protect my brain. I have to protect myself. And I have to take care of me and my goals. And this isn't going to probably work out. And I have a friend group. My wife and I are in a group chat with some friends of ours that we're going to start a new app together. And we're working on like the app development side of it and stuff and having this business. And it's like really motivating. I love that. It's not about drinking. It's not about any of this. It's about, cracking jokes and, hey, let's try this. And what about this idea? Like that, my brain thrives on. I'm like, oh, yes. And then I'm in some other group chats where it's like, we're going to go tie one on. And it's like, oh, that's cool. Like I have to silence those because I don't need to see that nonstop. And because it's like a part of me wants to be like, dude, that's cool. But like, what else are you going to do? like, how about we all go on a hike, dude? Or how about we all go try and go to the hot springs or something else? But then I feel weird. And then I feel like I don't fit in and it's hard. And, you can say it's kind of like that victim mentality and stuff. And I also think it's just kind of that showing up for yourself. That was one of the hardest things for me. And I think I kind of having a breakthrough on what it really means to show up for yourself. A lot of where my addiction, I think, really ran from, just looking back at it, is anxious attachment style, not really showing up for myself, not trusting myself. And I'm really noticing changes in me as a human being and now starting to see myself and starting to realize that I'm going to have to show up for myself now. Like now that I'm starting to see myself and I know myself, like I'm going to have to start showing up for myself, and that's going to require some new changes here in life. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with whatever the future holds. Like, people are like, well, what if. I can say this: if I lost everything, I lost my wife, I lost my house, I lost it all. I'm fine, man. I'm not wasted. I've already pulled myself out of the pits of hell. I can do it again. Like that doesn't scare me anymore because I know I can show up for myself. And now once you really recognize and see yourself and see you for who you are and what you getting this clear vision in life. I mean, it's really fun, but it's lonely. I mean, that's where I think that whole conversation around being successful is lonely is true. Being successful is lonely as fuck because you have to be around people like you, and there's so many people out there that are not like you. There's so many people out there that are not driven like you, that are not motivated like you. And so you end up kind of by yourself. So man, when you can find a handful of friends or two or three friends that are in the same mentality as you, that's huge. That's a gift right there. And you can't look that the other way. And friendships require energy and require maintenance. And I think that's the other part too, is where we struggle with addicts and recovery, is it's hard to put in energy towards not our people. Because our people aren't people that use per se. So to put in energy there is really difficult. To put in energy with people that we know they're not going to remember the next day. To put in energy with people that we know that all they want to do is get drunk. To all they want to do is alter their perception of reality. That to me is like they're not my people. And I'm having to own that now. And I have to own that, hey, like life, being a little lonely in life's okay, because I'm always going to be able to find my people. And I can take the time to, and I have so much time. It was funny, when I got sober at 36, I thought I had passed by so much life. But man, I look at 2 years back and I'm like, geez, that was 2 years ago. That feels like forever. Like time has slowed down being sober. And I'm living the best life ever right now. And I want to continue living the best life ever. And that's it's okay, man. And so, it's setting these healthy boundaries and really realizing who you are okay being around, who you're not okay being around, and really standing firm on that, I think, is really important. And it's been a really eye-opener. I was always wondering why I struggled. I never struggled going out and being around people drunk. I never struggled going out to parties and stuff like that. Because all it was a party. It was a one-time thing. But I struggle around people who that's what they kind of do. Like that's what they do for fun. And it's a distraction. Like the old me, the drinking me, fuck, dude, I would have been all in. But the sober me is like, no, I want to wake up the next day and I want to go do this and I want to go be motivated. I want to go live my life. Like there's so much I want to do. And it's like, I'm realizing how much I've gotten away from my bucket list and how I need to create my bucket list and how I really got to start living for myself and how I need to put a lot of things, to the side. And I can't be afraid to be by myself. I can't be afraid to live life by myself. Because a lot of times we are. And it's like you're being reborn, man, and accept this. Once I really have realized and locked in a lot on just how to become secure attachment. Like I fear becoming secure attachment in this whole sense of what if I lose, but I'm not. Because I'm truly at a place where I can emotionally regulate myself. I can see myself. And it's a beautiful place to be. It's allowed me so much clarity. It's allowed me a lot more calmness. I'm noticing now that I'm able to emotionally regulate myself better. I'm able to calm myself down better. I'm not making as I've noticed growth in me since August. And I think that's pretty freaking cool. But I also noticed a lot more emotions in me too. That I have, and still really understanding and realizing what these emotions are, what these emotions mean, realizing how life is, ups and downs. But that's the thing is if you don't have those people in your life, is creating that life that you want, and what you feel you deserve and how you deserve it and what do you do to get that life. I think that's key. And so I think it's really important to know that. And I love to have friends and I love to have acquaintances. I've learned this. I love to have acquaintances. I love low maintenance friends. I have a couple low maintenance friends and I love them to death. Man, I would do anything for them. If they call me up and they're like, dude, I need your help, I'll be there. But I also don't need to maintain every day with them. I don't have to maintain this relationship with them. It's like we can just be friends. And I like that. And that's the thing I have found with even the podcasting is it really has given me a voice and it's given me a way to process my thoughts and feelings. If you didn't know now, like I'm back in my studio. I have my new Unhinged neon sign, if you can see it behind me. My wife got that for me. But I do my podcast before I do any of my other content because it's kind of like my therapy session of like, hey, where's my brain going to be for today? And like, how do I get my brain on straight? Especially on days like today, I struggled a little bit. Today I struggled a little bit of just kind of realizing I had an epiphany today of what a trigger of mine is and why it triggers me the way it does. And it only has to do with like I'm that type of person that I can't be around. I struggle being around people who rely on alcohol or drinking for fun because I'm never going to reach that level. I'm never going to connect with you on that level. And so if I can't connect with you on that level, how good of friends are we ever going to really be? What kind of real maintainable relationship and friendship is there here? Like you're cool and I don't mind being acquaintances, but that's what it is. And I'm okay with that. I always want new friends. I always tell myself, I want new friends. I want new friends. I do. But also I need to be picky about friends too. And we have to be selective about friends. And I think that's part of what self-care and self-love is being selective around the people that we really let into our life. Because the people that we really want into our life, man, we want to lift them up with us and give them the greatest gifts in life that we can of just who authentically we are. And I think that's the real reality of it. So, it's slowly coming up to the end of the year. I think there's 2 more podcasts after this that I'm releasing, and then it's a new year. I can't believe I've almost hit this goal. One of the goals of standing up for myself and showing up for myself, I'll probably do a podcast on this, was to like show myself some self-love. And this was a huge one. A huge one of mine. I was like, I know I can accomplish is once a week doing a podcast. And I started this back in September. I started this podcast for anybody who didn't know. I mean, I have a decent number of episodes out for season 1. I started actually last December in 2024. But I took a long time off from the podcast. I got burnt out from it. I was like, it's not really my thing. It doesn't really make me any money. But now that I've hit kind of a different point in life where I don't necessarily need the money from like the podcast, I do realize the benefit of it, of how therapeutic it is. So I appreciate everybody who's kind of followed along in this journey. I hope that you see some growth in me. I hope that you're seeing some growth in you. And, we can kind of do this together. And if you're, like I mentioned earlier, if you're trying to get sober, this is why, again, I believe so much in Sunflower Sober. It's a community there for you to be able to talk to others like you who are going to experience some of these same things. It's hard when you're experiencing this and you have no one to talk to. And that's where Sunflower Sober comes in. You have a 24 AI sponsor with Sam. You just have a lot of help out there. And that's the thing. You have doctor therapy help. You have journaling help. So download Sunflower Sober on iOS and Google Play. If you haven't hit the like and follow button, hit the like and follow button. I'm really excited kind of sharing more about this because like I want to share a lot more even about getting like sober like later on in life, because a lot of us are getting sober later on in life. Like I'm jealous and I'm envious, not in a bad way, not in like a negative where I want to push you down and like scold you or like the competition way. But man, people who get sober in like their mid-20s, I'm like, dude, I wish I would have done that, because I would have experienced hell still like you have and pulled myself out of it and then had even more time. But a lot of us are getting sober in our 40s, and it's scary because it's like, shit, dude, a lot of life has passed by. How do I get life back? Like, how do I live life to the fullest? And then relearning life, because let's face it, like the more and more I have gotten sober, the more and more I realize how much alcohol plays a role in life. And when you're sober, this to you isn't a role in life. So your whole outlook and view of life is different. And so for anybody experiencing this, know that you're not alone. Know that this is natural and normal. Know that it gets better. Don't give up. And I appreciate you. I appreciate that you're sober. I appreciate that maybe you're contemplating getting sober or trying to understand what addiction is. Whatever reason is that you listen to this podcast, I appreciate you. And just know this, to not give up, to keep fighting. And I mean, for the one out there who's going at it, it's one day at a time. And I believe in you. So don't give up. And until next time, just keep going at it, because it does get better. And you're worth it, man. You are worth it.